Hello there, you're watching Rajya Sabha television. This is News at 10. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor, and in the next 30 minutes, I'll be taking you through top developing stories from India and around the world. Let us start with the headlines. Prime Minister to interact with over 200 young entrepreneurs, champions of change program to focus on building new India by 2022. Cabinet approves new policy to expand metro network, private investment and innovative forms of financing for high-capacity metro projects. Army officers of India and China meet in Leh after incursion bid foiled by the Indian forces in Ladakh. US asks both the nations to sit down and have a direct dialogue. No let-up in flood situation in Bihar. 72 people killed, 73 lakh affected across 14 districts. Assam Chief Minister in Delhi to apprise Prime Minister of the situation in the state. And the United States designates Hizbul Mujahideen as a foreign terrorist organization. Big setback for Pakistan that has projected the group as the voice of the people of Kashmir. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will interact with the 212 young entrepreneurs to get their views on policy initiatives to encourage entrepreneurship in the country. The meeting will take place under the Champions of Change program organized by Niti Aayog. The interaction will focus on building new India by 2022, digital India, health, education and skill development. The entrepreneurs will present papers to the Prime Minister on how private sector can enable innovation, job creation and income enhancement. They will also discuss on Incredible India Part 2 on promoting travel, tourism, art, culture, hospitality, marketing and branding. On to some other news. The government approved a new metro rail policy on Wednesday to expand the metro network across various cities. Now, private investment and other innovative forms of financing of metro projects have been included for capital-intensive, high-capacity projects.
A Union Cabinet meeting chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi approved a new metro rail policy that will meet the aspirations of a large number of cities. Currently, metro rail services are operational in 7 cities, covering about 370 kilometers. As many as 537 kilometers in 12 cities are under construction and proposals for as many as 600 kilometers are under consideration.
कि एक सिस्टम अप्रोच होगी, इसमें कोई एड हॉक सैंक्शंस नहीं होंगे. सीएमपी, इंटरमॉडल इंटीग्रेशन, ऑल्टरनेटिव एनालिसिस क्या है, ट्रांसपोर्ट सिस्टम कहां जरूरत है, उसका एक रिगरस अप्रेजल बाय एन इंडिपेंडेंट एजेंसी, economic cost benefit analysis hoga.
The cabinet also decided to extend tax incentives to industries in the northeast and Himalayan states till March 2027 and approved mechanisms for strategic disinvestment.
जो sunset clause है इन exemptions की, इसको 31 मार्च 2027 तक extend कर दिया गया है.
The cabinet also approved raising extra budgetary resources up to 9,020 crore rupees for long-term irrigation funds during 2017-18. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
On to the other top story. Energy-efficient appliances will now be sold in fuel retail outlets of public sector oil marketing companies. The petrol pump dealers will directly do business with EESL or Energy Efficient Services Limited and would get about a 10% margin. The country is expected to save 40,000 crore rupees from energy efficiency measures. An official statement said that the scheme will be rolled out at petroleum retail outlets in a phased manner. In the first phase, distribution will commence from Uttar Pradesh and Maharashtra. Consumers can purchase an LED bulb at 70 rupees, a 220 watts LED tube light at 220 rupees and a 5-star ceiling fan at 1,200 rupees.
जब आजादी को 75 साल पूरे होगा, तब तक देश की नेट एनर्जी इंपोर्ट 10% हमें घटाना है।
ये सस्ते उपक्रम, बल्ब हो, फैन हो, ट्यूबलाइट हो, ये जनता तक पहुंच पाए, और मैं समझता हूं इतना बड़ा मार्केटिंग नेटवर्क शायद ही और किसी के पास इस देश में होगा जितना बड़ा इन 3 कंपनीज के पास और पेट्रोलियम मिनिस्ट्री के पास है।
And now an update on the India-China standoff. And army officers of both the nations held a meeting in Leh's Chushul sector yesterday. This comes a day after border guards foiled an attempt by the Chinese soldiers to enter Indian territory along the banks of Pangong Lake in Ladakh. Now, both the countries discussed the ways and possibilities to maintain peace along the Sino-India border.
The standoff in the Doklam area of Sikkim has triggered Chinese aggression in other border areas with India. On Tuesday, when India was celebrating Independence Day, Chinese troops were stopped from intruding in eastern Ladakh near the Pangong Lake. Frustrated at being thwarted by the Indian forces, the Chinese troops pelted stones and injured some Jawans. Experts feel the incident portends a dangerous turn of events.
China continues to act in a very unfriendly and an expansionist manner. It is quite clear that Xi Peng, for personal aggrandizement, is putting on stake peace and tranquility in Asia-Pacific region, Indo-Pacific region, and in every region where countries are contiguous to China. In the long run, it will be fatal for China to indulge in such activities.
After getting rebuffed on the Ladakh border, the Chinese Foreign Ministry is now, however, denying the incident.
你说的具体情况我不了解，但是我可以告诉你的是，中国的边防部队一直在致力于维护中印边境地区的和平与安宁，而且呢，我们一直在实控线中方一侧巡逻和执行。我们敦促印方恪守两国间达成的有关协议、协定和规定，切实地遵守1959年实控线。
The Indian side has also chosen not to make a formal comment while indicating that such incidents are dealt with on the border itself. China is known for its practice to intrude and retreat when confronted while talking of peace. Strategists see it as a ploy to put India under pressure for a negotiation when in fact China too can't think of a full-fledged confrontation.
China does it in a long-term basis. It's not in a hurry. So if we are going to think that China will straight away do something and be done away with, no. China will wait for a right opportunity when its pressures on its other borders are less, and when the atmosphere is congenial, the military action, adventure atmosphere is congenial for it, it will take action. And that's what China is waiting to do.
The latest confrontation between India and China comes ahead of the BRICS summit in China next month. Observers are waiting to see what effect it will have on the summit. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha Television.
Meanwhile, the United States has said that it wants both India and China to sit down and have a direct dialogue to resolve their issues. The U.S. State Department spokesperson Heather Nauert said this to reporters at a news conference on Wednesday. The U.S.'s remarks come a day after a failed attempt by the Chinese soldiers to enter Indian territory along the banks of Pangong Lake in Ladakh. The Chinese soldiers were stopped by Indian border guards. The latest skirmish comes at a time when India and China are locked in a face-off in the Doklam area of the Sikkim sector. The standoff has now been going on for more than 50 days after Indian troops stopped the Chinese army from illegally constructing a road in the disputed area. Big story coming in from Jammu and Kashmir. A self-styled district commander of the Lashkartoibar has been killed in an encounter with the security forces in Pulwama district of the state on Wednesday. Ayub Lelhari was killed after the police along with the army and the CRPF laid an ambush in Bandirpura, Drubgam and Chandgam areas, acting on specific information. The vehicle in which the LET commander was travelling was intercepted at Bandirpura area. The police said that the terrorists tried to flee and fired upon the forces who retaliated, in which the terrorist was killed. 2 police personnel also sustained injuries during the gunfight. The driver of the vehicle carrying the terrorists has been arrested. According to the police, Leilhari was involved in a number of terror incidents, including killing of civilians in Pulwama and an attack on security forces. Meanwhile, the United States has designated a Kashmiri militant outfit Hizbul Mujahideen as a foreign terrorist organization. This comes 2 months after the US declared the group's chief, Sayyid Salahuddin, as a global terrorist. Now, with this designation, there will be a series of US sanctions slapped on the outfit. It has come following a rise in the group's terror activities in Kashmir in recent months. The aim of this move is to squeeze the outfit's funds. Among other things, its property and interest in property are also being blocked. Also, US persons are prohibited from engaging in any transactions with this group. The US decision marks a severe blow to Pakistan, which has been projecting the militant group as the voice of Kashmiri people. Formed in 1989, Hizbul Mujahideen is one of the largest and oldest militant group operating in Kashmir. And the Delhi High Court will today hear a PIL to remove online links of the dangerous online game Blue Whale Challenge. The PIL was moved in the Delhi High Court seeking directions to the internet companies to take down the links of a Blue Whale game. Now, citing deaths of children in India and abroad, Advocate Gurmeet Singh, who filed the petition, sought immediate directions to restrain internet majors from uploading any material pertaining to the challenge game. After the Union Information Technology Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad warned internet platforms of stern action if they did not remove links leading to the game. Now, Blue Whale is a challenge-based game in which the final task requires the player to commit suicide.
ब्लू व्हेल गेमिंग को लेकर लोग सुसाइड कर रहे थे. हम लोग के पास बहुत शिकायत आई थी, इंक्लूडिंग फ्रॉम द कंसर्न डिपार्टमेंट. तो वी हैव टेकन अ वेरी टफ मेजर्स. Clear instructions have been issued to all the technology platform that they must be linked with this game immediately. Because under the Indian IT ecosystem, no initiative shall be permitted which provokes young boys to commit suicide. This is plainly unacceptable.
And for more news from across the nation, let's go nationwide. The ruling BJP has won 25 of the 43 local bodies in Madhya Pradesh, edging out the Congress, which emerged victorious on 15 seats. 3 local bodies have been won by independent candidates. The elections for the post of presidents in the 43 local bodies, including 4 municipalities and 39 Nagar Parishads, was held on 11th of August. The victory for the ruling party comes against the backdrop of a violent farmers' protest in the state in June. Pakistan's High Commissioner designate Sohail Mahmood has assumed charge in Delhi. Mahmood will present his credentials to President Ram Nath Kovind soon. One of the senior-most officers of Pakistan Foreign Service, he succeeds diplomat Abdul Basit, who served as Pakistan's envoy for 4 years. Prior to this, Mahmood served as Pakistan's ambassador in Turkey. According to a government report, 34 farmers committed suicide in Marathwada region of Maharashtra in the last 8 days. The region has seen below average rainfall this monsoon so far. As many as 580 farmers' suicides have been reported in Marathwada till 15th of August. The kharif crops in the region are in trouble because of lack of rains. We'll take a very short break here. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
National Institute for Research in Tuberculosis. In fact, has done extensive work on vaccine research related to TB, especially with the BCG vaccine. We have now very good treatment for TB, and we have shown that it is possible to cure TB provided the patient takes the treatment properly. Delayed detection of the TB disease results in more transmission in the community.
Watch Eureka with Dr. Srikant Prasad Tripathi Director at National Institute for Research Tuberculosis, Chennai, only on Rajya Sabha television.
Now an update on what is happening within the Janata Dal United. Well, the rift within the party is deepening. The faction led by Sharad Yadavs is convening a Sajha Virasat Bachao Sammelan in the national capital. Addressing a press conference, Sharad Yadavs said that the program is not against anybody but in the interest of the nation. Now, asserting that composite culture is the soul of the constitution, he added that similar meetings will be held across the country. An invitation has been sent to 16 opposition parties for the Sammelan. Top leaders of the Congress, the Left, the Samajwadi Party, BSP, TMC and other opposition parties have been invited to the program. The meeting is being seen as Sharad Yadav's show of strength against his party chief Nitish Kumar's decision to ally with the BJP.
ये किसी के खिलाफ ने देश के हक में सम्मेलन बनाया, ये भारत के हक में है। हिंदुस्तान के 125 करोड़ दिन की बात कर रहे हैं लोग, उनके हक में, ये भारत के हक में, हिंदुस्तान के हक में ये सम्मेलन मैंने कल जो है वो लोगों ने जिम्मेदारी दी थी, कोऑर्डिनेट कर रहा हूँ। आज तो सब रहे उसमें, मैंने सबसे बात की है। उसमें किसान आएंगे, आदिवासी आएंगे, उसमें दलित आएंगे।
पार्टी नहीं है, पार्टी के 100% विधायक, विधान पार्षद, लोकसभा सदस्य, राज्यसभा के सदस्य छोड़ करके 2 लोगों को, सारे पदाधिकारी श्री नीतीश कुमार के साथ हैं। 1-2 एलिमेंट हैं जो असंतुष्ट हैं, जिनका कोई वजूद नहीं।
And news from the Congress's camp, Vice President of the party Rahul Gandhi has accused Prime Minister Narendra Modi of creating an environment of hatred and anger in Kashmir. Now, addressing a rally in Bengaluru on Wednesday, Rahul Gandhi said that Narendra Modi's policy created a space in Jammu and Kashmir for Pakistan to misbehave. His statement comes a day after Prime Minister Modi said in his Independence Day speech that the problem in Kashmir can be resolved by embracing people and not through bullets and abuses. The Congress Vice President was in Bengaluru to inaugurate the Indira Canteen, the Karnataka government's subsidized outlets that will provide breakfast at 5 rupees and lunch and dinner at 10 rupees. Now, initially called Nama Canteen, the name was later changed. The state government provided 100 crore rupees in the budget to set up the canteens in 198 wards of Bengaluru Mahanagara Palike.
We want the poorest person in Bangalore, the weakest person in Bangalore. We want him or her to feel that in this city, they cannot go hungry.
Big story coming in from Uttar Pradesh, where a PIL has been filed in the Allahabad High Court seeking a judicial inquiry into the recent deaths at the BRD hospital in Gorakhpur. The PIL is likely to be taken up for hearing today. And this comes as 5 more encephalitis-related child deaths were reported from the hospital since Tuesday, taking the total toll to 71. The Indian Medical Association, or the IMA, has appointed a team of 3 members to inquire into the deaths. The team has been directed to submit their report within 48 hours. UP Health Minister Siddharth Nath Singh has said that a report has been sought from all the medical colleges and hospitals in the state on the availability of oxygen or payment issues. He said that everything had been found in order. Meanwhile, the father of one of the victims at the hospital has also approached the police seeking action against the ministers.
हम आए हैं, बच्चे यहाँ पे एडमिट किए थे, ऑक्सीजन के कारण हमारे बच्चे की जान चली गई। थाने पे आए हैं, जो इसके दोषी सजा है उन पे केस करने के लिए।
And now an update on the flood situation across various states of the country. In Assam and Bihar, the situation has worsened due to incessant rains, with lakhs of people being affected in both these states. At least 72 people have died in Bihar, whereas 39 people are reportedly dead in the state of Assam. The NDRF and the army have been pressed into service to evacuate those stranded. Here are all the details. Unprecedented heavy rains have unleashed floods, wreaking havoc in Bihar and Assam. In Bihar, the flood situation has further deteriorated.
At least 72 people have lost their lives and nearly 73 lakh people have been hit in around 14 districts.
मंदिर में हम रहते हैं, चारों ओर पानी घेर लिया है, कहीं जाने की व्यवस्था नहीं है, बाल बच्चा लेकर मंदिर में रहते हैं, पानी के पीने वाला पानी नहीं है, खाने के लिए कुछ नहीं है, कैसे खाए हैं, कोटे चारों ओर पानी घेर लिया है, घर में पानी ढुक गया है.
Deputy Chief Minister Sushil Modi said that the National Disaster Relief Force teams were carrying out rescue operations on war footing to evacuate people from low-lying areas.
जिस तरह से सरकारी अधिकारी, सेना के लोग, NDRF, SDRF और तमाम लोग और बाढ़ का मुकाबला कर रहे हैं, तो ये प्रशंसनीय कदम है. और अब एयर ड्रॉपिंग भी प्रारंभ कर दी गई है, लेकिन कई जगह मौसम खराब होने के कारण एयर ड्रॉपिंग भी नहीं हो पा रही है.
In Assam, at least 39 people have died due to floods. Over 33 lakh people are affected across 24 districts due to the deluge. Around 1,000 people have been evacuated so far to safer places in Dhemaji district, where new areas have submerged. Assam Governor Banwari Lal Purohit visited the flood-hit region and reviewed facilities being provided at the relief camp in Morigaon district.
करीब 50% विलेजेस इस जिले के पूरे अफेक्टेड हैं. मुझे संतोष इस बात का है, पर्सनली कई विलेजेस में गया हूँ, कैंप में गया हूँ, उनको जो ज़रूरत की आवश्यक सप्लाई है, दाल, चावल, मेडिसिन, बिस्किट बच्चों के लिए, वो बराबर सप्लाई हो रही है.
Assam Chief Minister Sarbanand Sonowal is in the national capital to meet Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Sonowal will apprise the Prime Minister of the preliminary damage caused by the third wave of floods. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And flood fury also continues in northern parts of West Bengal. At least 32 people have been killed and over 14 lakh affected so far due to floods in 6 districts of the state. All the passenger train services connecting North Bengal to Kolkata remain suspended for the 5th consecutive day today. The Eastern Railway has cancelled 14 mail and express trains in view of the prevailing situation. Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has said that her government's priority was to ensure rescue operations were efficient. She also added that an evaluation of the damage would be carried out only after those affected were rescued. She said that she had already apprised the Prime Minister and the Home Minister of the situation. And the flood situation in Nepal is also grim. The death toll stands at 120 and over 6 million people have been affected in the country. Flood victims in Sunsari district in South Nepal say that they are left with nothing after the Koshi river overflowed and swept away their belongings. Relief workers said that 26 to 75 districts are either submerged or have been hit by landslides. Nepali officials say that the authorities are focusing on rescuing trapped residents and distributing aid.
12 बजे मध्यम रात में बाढ़ी अचानक आयो. त्यतिखेर हामी सुतिरहेको थियौ. यो खोला एकदम धेरै करार गर्दा निन्द्रा अचानक छुट्यो हैन. निन्द्रा टुट्दाखेरि हामी केटाकेटीले सबैले भने बाढी आयो त्यतिखेर हामी सबैलाई भगायौं.
हामी के गर्ने, रोडमै सुत्ने, रोडमै मर्ने. अब एउटा उपाय के छ? रोडमै मर्ने उपाय छ. रोडमै बाँचिराख्छु, रोडमै मरिराख्छु हामीहरु. बस्ने ठाउँ छैन, बस्ने घर छैन, भात खाने भाडा छैन, केही छैन.
In another country that is facing floods is Sierra Leone, and facing the looming threat of disease there, the authorities have begun burying hundreds of victims killed in a mudslide 2 days earlier. The aid workers have warned of an impending health crisis caused by some 400 corpses lying outside. Emergency response teams are racing to dig out survivors and dispose of bodies. Many of the bodies are still feared trapped under mud and rubble. And according to aid workers, there is a high risk of disease outbreaks such as cholera as corpses are lying out in the open. Meanwhile, a minute of silence was held in Sierra Leone's capital, Freetown, on Wednesday in the memory of hundreds of people killed in the devastating mudslides. The country would also observe a week-long mourning in the remembrance of those killed in the disaster.
Yesterday to today, they don't send over 400 body there now, and yesterday they beg over 150, both children and adults. The one where they don't pull.
Today I lost about 9 picking. 9 picking with an old uncle. I lost in wealth, second wealth. So the first woman in the left now, the balance old uncle. So I don't know my connection how I could do now.
And big story coming in from the United States, where President Donald Trump continues to be under fire over his handling of violent clashes in Virginia. Several business leaders announced their resignations from White House's business councils in recent days over the issue. Now, on Wednesday, Trump responded by scrapping 2 councils, American Manufacturing Council and Strategic and Policy Forum. He conveyed the decision on Twitter, saying that rather than putting pressure on business people of the Manufacturing Council and Strategy and Policy Forum, I am ending both. Thank you all. The clashes in Charlottesville in Virginia culminated in a woman's death and nearly 20 wounded when a car plowed into a crowd of protesters. The president repeated the sentiments on Tuesday that he first expressed over the weekend when he said that there was blame on both sides of Saturday's protests. Meanwhile, condemnation continues across the world over Virginia violence.
Die amerikanische Debatte hat ja gezeigt, wie empörend die ersten Äußerungen des amerikanischen Präsidenten in den Vereinigten Staaten von Amerika aufgenommen worden sind. Das scheint der Grund zu sein, warum er sich jetzt korrigiert. Aber die Empörung war zu Recht groß.
Well, I do not comment on what presidents say. I affirm principles. And the principles I affirm are very clear. Racism, xenophobia, anti-Semitism or Islamophobia are, as I mentioned yesterday, poisoning our societies. And it is absolutely essential for us all to stand up against them everywhere and every time.
Let's get you some more international news. Here is the World Wrap. Guam's government says that there has been no change in its threat level after North Korea threatened last week to fire missiles nearby. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un says that he has delayed a decision on firing missiles towards Guam while he waits to see what the United States does. Now, despite the recent scares, Guam's Tourism Bureau says that tourism over the last few days has grown as expected. Kenya's opposition leader Raila Odinga says that he will mount a legal challenge to the result of last week's presidential election, which he claims was rigged. Odinga has accused the electoral authorities of fraud, tantamount to democracy's slaughter, but foreign observers described the election as free and fair. The official results gave President Kenyatta about 54% of the vote and Odinga 45%. And Saudi Arabia said on Wednesday that it would welcome Qatari pilgrims to perform the Hajj this season. The Salwa border point would be open for Qatari citizens who wish to perform the annual pilgrimage to part with no electronic permissions needed. Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Bahrain and the UAE imposed sanctions on Qatar in June and cut all transport links with the country. The 4 boycotting Arab states accuse Qatar of supporting terrorism, a charge which Doha denies. That's it from me and my team in this edition of news. Thanks so much for your time.